Hello and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show in which me and my friends give our unwanted opinion on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with Kyle.
Hello.
Hello, Kyle. Hello. He's grinning
It's
ear
tra-
to
it's
ear.
tra- it's trade week. You've traded it Gonfalo for
hmm
me.
hmm I know, we're back to this. We had a good run of us, all three of us doing the show together, and now it's back to just one in, one out.
I know
It's a shame. It's a
it
shame.
gets really chaotic when it's me and Gonfalo by ourselves.
Mhm.
Nothing
Yeah,
gets done
yeah.
on the show. It's just chaos.
No, he's away. He's occupied. His girlfriend's visiting him in Spain, and he's got a dinner to go to, so he will not be joining us
No.
today. But I'm actually really sad he's not joining us today because he doesn't get to join in the pain of what we're doing, and that is talking about Madam Web. That will be today's episode, a full spoiler-filled review just from the get-go. We're going to go right in deep with Madam Web. Biggest film in the world right now, actually, no, it's not. Didn't even become number one at the box office this weekend, but
I
uh,
saw it's the first Marvel Umbrella
mm,
associated
mm.
Marvel film to not be number one since Fans Forced It.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
Really? Has there not been really
Well,
every other Marvel associated film
apparently
has come in number one at the box office?
Marvel in the first week, mate. Venom was weirdly popular,
I know
and
Venom, but I was even thinking,
Morbius had a big hype train around it,
of course, that film was very
hyper than
important.
this.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. So yeah, we'll be doing give you a full spoiler film review. We'll tell you to if we recommend it or not. By the end of it, and we'll also have a review for The Taste of Things, the new Juliette Binoche film, which came out just this weekend here. So we'll end with that. We'll end on a slightly better note. But Kyle, let's just get underway and talk about
Spoilers.
Madam. Oh, sorry, I guess I've spoiled the review. I know, no one's gonna listen.
No.
But yeah, so Madam Web is
Yeah.
I guess the latest installment in the Sony whatever it's called universe, Spider
Uh,
adjacent something universe.
Sony
Uh-huh.
Marvel Associated Pictures or something like that. I don't
Something
know.
I don't know what they're
I
doing.
don't
None of it's
actually
really
know
even
what it's
connected at
called.
all. So none of it really matters. I don't know what they're even trying to do. But anyway, this was directed by S.J. Clarkson, who's quite notable for a lot of her TV work. She's directed episodes of things like Succession and whatnot. And actually, this also has three writers involved with Matt Sazasma, Burke Sharpless, and Claire Parker. I don't actually know if some of them are maybe just wrote the characters, whatever. But and
Oh,
it also stars, of course. Oh,
oh no!
what's up?
Oh wait, no, no, go. We can talk about the screenwriters in a second.
Okay, we
Cause
can. Great. And it stars, of course, Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, Isabel Merced, and Celeste O'Connor. And so, I guess Madam Web, we're set in. Actually, I guess it goes back further. So, in the beginning, it opens in 1973 in Peru, with Cassandra Webb's mother researching spiders and trying to find this spider that has basically. And its blood abilities to cure and hopefully research and can
the
cure many illnesses in the
enzymes.
future. The enzymes, yes,
Hmm.
something like that. But however, when she finds this magical spider, she's then betrayed by her bodyguard and protector, Ezekiel Sims, played by Tahar Rahim, who wants the spider for his own selfish gains. We then jump 30 years, it's now 2003 Manhattan, where we have Cassandra Webb and her partner Ben Parker. Yep, Ben Parker are both
Holy
paramedics
shit!
in New York, I know. And eventually, her paths cross with the likes of Julia Cornwall, played by Sydney Sweeney, Anya Corzin, Matty Franklin, and eventually, the plot really just begins because
Yeah,
the villain has a dream
yeah.
about these three girls
No,
who
no,
are
no.
going to kill him one day, and so he decides, I'm going to kill them first. But Cassandra Webb also has this fatal accident, which is then resuscitated, and then somehow has the powers to see the future. And with these powers, she then gets roped in
Oh,
with this Ezekiel trying to kill these three women, and then she chooses to help them and try and save their lives. And so it's kind of it's a cat and mouse chase, is what the whole film kind of turns into. Um, but yeah, a little convoluted, really silly. But Kyle, what did you think? Overall thoughts before we get into the details of Madam Web?
um, this is a film, and I say that in the loosest way possible. That this
Yeah,
is a
it's a
film.
film.
Um, I have never seen anything so derived of an actual plot in my life. Um,
Mhm, mhm.
no, it's actually the words that actually describe this as a film are really difficult, Lewis. I mean, everything from the get go. I really want to know like what the progression
Mm,
of this script was,
yeah,
because I don't see Dakota Johnson as the person that just signs on to anything these days. I feel she's a wee bit picky. Like
more.
a Marvel
I mean,
film,
look,
her in a
I
superhero film.
there's obviously all the stuff online, and I really think Sony's behind this. As a studio, is sort of tricking them into believing they're part of the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Like the Disney
Um,
umbrella of the MCU.
but even then, you have lawyers and stuff to read these
You
contracts and
can't
things, so I
be
don't
dumb.
really.
Also, if you have what their
Uh,
name, Matt Samza and Burke Sharpless
mm,
as your writers, you should just
mm,
run, because
mm,
Dracula Untold, The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt, Power
mm,
Rangers, Morbius, and Madam Web. I don't understand. And then weirdly, they were the showrunners and
mhm.
executive producers for the Lost in Space TV show, which is incredible in comparison to these films. Like
I
it's
mean,
it's
it's adequate, I
it's like
guess.
it's like S.J. Clarkson
Mm.
directed episode Succession and coming onto this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Well, look, we'll get into the direction of it because I struggle to believe that someone who's worked professionally in TV for a long time would
made
direct something
this.
as terribly edited as something like this. I mean, I really do think a lot of it comes down to the editing decisions here. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking with it. I mean, it's genuinely just an abhorrent mess of just cut, sharp noises, like editing when there doesn't need to be editing, weird
Yeah.
zooms and shaky cam when it's like there's nothing really happening. I don't know why you're zooming in here. Um, really just bizarre decisions, and I just don't understand why someone
It's
who's been directing for a long time and
Mate,
clearly knows what she's doing
I'm
would make
looking
those
at her.
decisions.
I'm
Uh huh.
looking at her filmography, and
Uh-huh.
she's directed a bit of shows, EastEnders back in the day, Doctor's
Yep.
Casualties. She wrote a few. She directed a few episodes of Dexter, and she directed
Well,
the
there you go.
best episode of Dexter, which is actually quite highly rated on
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
the sources, which
Uh huh.
really shocks me because, like you say, this
Uh-huh.
is a mess is a great word, and I think that really
Mm,
defines what this film is. I just an
mm,
utter. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, if we talk about the source character of Cassandra Webb,
mm.
Madam Webb, right?
Yeah.
She
Let's
should
delve deep into what you could have done with something like this. I
right.
guess.
So
Uh,
we'll talk about it. I've got a bit of info here. So Madam Web originally appeared in 1980, okay,
mhm.
and she's always this kind of supportive character that's kind of the introduction into the Spider Verse in most
Yeah.
iterations. Maybe
Mhm.
not in the movies, but if you're a fan of the 90s
Uh,
cartoon, she was there, old grey lady in a really weird spider S chair, and she just kind of sat
yes.
there and yelled at Peter for most of the time, and Peter was also a bit just like crying about it,
Mhm.
which I think is the
Mhm.
real core of this character. And yeah, that's the same kind of thing. She's um paralyzed. She's telepathic. I mean, she was born this way in the comics. Like the whole idea is that she's always kind of been this
Yeah.
paraplegic sort of person, and like
Mhm.
those kind of abilities came to her, like sort of
Mhm.
how not sort of how, but like Daredevil went blind and then gained his abilities because of it. It's a kind of similar
Mhm.
thing to the character of Madam Web, I'm sure, where you get told you're doing an origin of Madam Web, and they have done iterations in the present day where they have had a younger
Uh-huh.
Madam Web, and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
right, maybe what
All
they were
right. Yeah.
doing is like, is this
Mhm.
their way of trying to bring back Toby and Andrew like into the more things? Is this meant to integrate with
Mhm.
the Spider Verse? Then you just have this fucking film, and it's just, and
A film where
it's
very little exciting happens. I
it's an
must say,
origin
like,
story that
oh
doesn't
yeah,
have origins for three of the characters.
oh yeah, they just like have them in little visions, and oh, they're going to be in these costumes one day. Um, this
Can
is
I
the
just
thing.
point out?
This is. Uh-huh.
I was able to say,
Yeah,
Sims. What's he called? Ezekiel Sims.
Ezekiel Sims. Yes,
Ezekiel
yes, the
Sims.
villain.
Mad artist skills, because apparently he drew picture accurate drawings of the three main characters from
Yes,
his
yes. In
dreams.
2003,
Like
yeah,
he
that's
genuinely,
crazy.
there's
That
a
was
thing like
crazy.
here. It's like here's the descriptions of you. I'm like, that's not a description. That is
Yeah.
a photograph of
Mm,
Sydney Sweeney.
mm.
There's no
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
oh my god.
Right. Before I sort of like run down my ideas of what could have happened with a project like this, Ezekiel Sims, right, is a villain. Like he's just a guy. Like we don't understand why he wants these
That
spider
is
powers or why
no,
he has
that's
these
it.
powers.
He's
He
a
just
villain.
wants to kill these people because he had a dream, and it's just it's like who is he? What does he do? What does he run? Like why does he? Why must he be stopped? It's the most bizarre villain because he has genuinely no. His motivation is he doesn't want to die. Okay, fair
No,
enough. But it's
seriously,
like
you get
what else is
introduced to
there?
him.
Where is he from? What is this? What? Who is
Yeah,
this guy?
you
Uh
get
huh.
introduced to him walking through like an
Mm-hmm.
opera house, and he sits beside a lady,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, is
Mm-hmm.
this meant to be like a? Are we meant to see like a shady deal or something, to signify him as a player in this world? No, they just go back to his flat, spend the night, and
Mm-hmm.
then he wakes up in a panic and he goes,
Mm-hmm.
"There are three girls who keep trying to kill me." Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
his ADR, amazing. Like
Yes. Yes. That's
the
been
great,
noted many times. Yes.
the greatest thing in cinema. But he's like, the three women are trying to kill me. I
Yeah.
must kill them. And she's like,
Yeah.
are you sure? This random girl he just slept with is a bit
No,
concerned.
it's fair. It wasn't rat. He picked her because she worked for the CIA. He needed her badge
NSA,
to
NSA,
NSA.
NSA.
Sorry.
Come on, get
So
appreciate the script. Let's not stick
I'm
on an
sorry.
issue.
I was some sort of American security organization. I didn't know.
Oh
But yeah, the
yeah.
villain. It's just. It didn't. What is he? It's just complete nonsense,
He wasn't
really.
a villain. He was a character that was just trying to kill people.
Yeah,
And
we're just like, oh, we
in
need someone to
his
chase these women. Sure, he had dreams.
I
Uh-huh.
tell you, I was thinking about. Do you know what this film really reminds me of?
Hmm.
This film feels like the TV show Gotham, and where
Right. Yes.
it's really awkward because they have the rights to
Mm.
everything, but they're
Yeah.
trying to act like they don't.
Yeah.
It's like like that. No, seriously, you would think that this film is like an unauthorized fan fiction because they're really trying to avoid saying
Yeah, they
things.
can't say Spider
Like,
Man for some
well,
reason.
they can't say Spider Man. They were about to what's her name? Emma Roberts plays
Mhm.
Mary Parker, who's
Yes.
heavily pregnant, and it
Mhm.
is like, oh, we're going to name it, and it gets interrupted. And I'm like, bitch, we know who this is. It's like it's that weird. Like the villain can't use doesn't have spider webs. He just kind of
Mhm.
jumps. But the
Yes.
best thing about his jumps is that they always cut because he clearly doesn't have anywhere to jump. Like
Yes. Yes.
it's just him jumping and then freezing, going to the next frame.
Yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
is this movie? It is honestly. I want to be in the
Uh,
kind of pitch meeting for
uh-huh.
them going, we're gonna do
Yeah. Yeah.
this, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be shit, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah. Okay, but even still, if you wanted to, okay, you want to make Man and Web, and you want to do something where it's like, okay, there's obviously like you want something a bit more exciting than just someone sitting in a chair guessing the future, right? Okay, you make someone you make someone who has these sort of powers who can sort of see visions of the future and then has to save these people. And with that, you can make some very exciting stuff. I mean, it's just fascinating to me that this is a blockbuster that costs what, anywhere between 80 and $100 million. And when it comes to the action, there's just
It's Dakota
I've never
Johnson
seen such
driving a
boring
car.
action. Yeah, it's just like I've
It
never
makes
seen
me
such boring
miss
action so
ambulance.
long. You know, it's like
Like
there's nothing exhilarating about it. There's the finale. I'm
he's getting
yawning even talking
tired.
about this.
He's getting
But
tired talking
the
about it.
finale is right. Kyle, you and I have seen a horrible amount of superhero films. I mean, like some really bad ones, but this has to be the worst third act finale of one I've ever seen. Like it's
It's funny because I didn't realize
sloppily
we were
put
in the third
together.
act.
Uh-huh.
Like if
What on
you're
top of the
watching it,
factory?
yeah, no,
The
you don't
Pepsi
realize
factory,
because you
the
don't
fireworks stuff. Or
yeah, that's
mhm,
also a very strange thing. Why is a
yeah,
Pepsi? Why does a Pepsi Cola factory contain fireworks?
mhm, yeah, I
Also,
know,
can you go blind if a firework hits you underwater? Could you also
sure.
go
Why not?
paralyzed if a firework hits you underwater? Or was
Sure.
it maybe the
I'm gonna say
falling under the
yes. I'm
water?
gonna agree with Sony on this one.
There wasn't much to say. Do you know it's really bizarre, Lewis, because they were clearly thinking, right, we need to make a female led Spider Man film or Spider Man
Hmm.
thing.
Which they
And
could have done. They
right,
could have just made a Spider Woman movie.
I don't know, Lewis. I don't think there's any Spider Woman apart from the three that are in this film. Uh, so they
Uh-huh.
decided out of all of the female Spider Woman movies to choose possibly the hardest one to make a solo film about because the whole point of her character
Yeah,
is she's always a side character sitting in a chair yapping away
yeah.
to Peter.
Yeah,
and
but they
they
can. They
go,
can. So the point is, they're trying to do this thing, but they're trying to build up I guess a female as female Spider-Man team. So that's why by the end of this film, she's paralyzed. She has the glasses. She can. She's understood the full extent of her powers, and then there's the final shot where everyone's in their suits, and it's like, okay, in Madam Web 2, she would be like, telling people what to do. Like she'd be sort of the Nick Fury of this
well,
spider team, right? But what? Okay, tell you what. Why didn't you just start with that? Why don't you just
like,
make this? Why don't you just start
uh
with the Spider Woman film with Sydney Sweeney and Madam Web's in it? Madam Web just is in it. Like I'm sure you can explain it that why she's here.
there was apparently
Mm,
I mean, this is years ago,
mm.
that there was like leaks of stuff about the first draft where it was meant to be a Terminator-esque film where
Yes,
Madam
he's trying to
Web
save Peter Parker,
recruited
right?
the Spider Woman,
Uh,
to go back and save Spider-Man as like
mm,
Emma Roberts as a baby. I'm like,
mm.
mate, that would have absolutely slapped. Had like, you know,
Yeah.
had Spider Woman in the present day, don't care
Mm,
who's, Spider Man exists in the background. You don't need to see him because there's so many
mm,
others. Grab them, go back in time, do all this
mm,
cool stuff, and it's just, you've just chosen the worst possible story for any of these characters, and it's a
yeah.
real shame. Like, just the Spider Woman had so much potential to actually do something. You don't really see them in action. It's like 2 minutes of flashback scenes, if even,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and some of them are in
Visions.
decent, like, the Julia Carpenter Spider Woman suit is good. I like that. I
Mm.
think that's the most accurate. The other two are a bit CW esque.
Yes. Yes.
Um, the Madam Web one is the most CW Spider Man suit I've
Madam
ever
Web is
seen
actually
in my
from
life.
like a 1990s commercial. It's really bad.
It's it's insane, and it's I recognize that they introduced the whole astral projection kind of
Mhm,
aspect of Madam Web, and
mhm,
it kind of hits you that the only reason they did that is because if they ever did a sequel, they need to
mhm,
have her do some action scenes that's not just
yeah,
her sitting in the chair
yeah.
being blind. Like,
Mhm.
it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
That's the thing. Like I'm just like there's so many different possibilities, right? Even if you boil it down to its basic parts, like I'm saying, you've got someone who can see different visions of the future, and there's someone trying to hunt down these people. There is, and like I said, it's a cat and mouse chase. So with that, there's plenty of exciting sort of action sequences and things you can go down. But
Yeah,
the problem is that there's it's just like there was no choreography. There's no good fighting. Like obviously Cassandra Webb, like she's not a fighter or a superhero or anything like that. And obviously these are just children, so it's like okay, we can't really do many physical things with them. And that's why I'm just like, well, at that point you're kind of written yourself into a corner here. It's like how because at the end of the day, this is an action blockbuster, right?
yeah,
It's not trying to be a think piece. It's not trying to have a really serious message or anything like that. But from an action point of view, you've completely written yourself into a corner. You can't do anything with the characters you've written here.
yeah.
So why don't you just okay? Why don't you somehow write in this version that Cassandra Webb is like for some reason a trained martial artist, right? So then you can do stuff with fight choreography. Have okay. Obviously, Dakota Johnson actually, to be fair, in real life is a very good stunt driver. Okay, why don't you just have some exciting vehicular chases as well? Like I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think from a writer's perspective and if you're trying to make an action film, why
Yeah.
have you put yourself in a corner where you can't possibly have any action whatsoever? How are you meant to sell that film? I don't
You
understand.
can't. I do.
Yeah.
See, what I'm thinking about the action, like I said, consists of Dakota Johnson driving into things, especially
Mhm.
Ezekiel Sims, who, if he had webs, the film would be 2 minutes long, because I literally just realized that they probably didn't give him webs because they
Mhm.
couldn't justify him not killing three small girls
Mhm. Yeah.
easily.
That's
I mean,
yeah.
even if he I think if he really tried, because he had that poor NSA, no, the poor hacker girl sit at that desk for what
Mhm.
was perceived days without a break.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, using
She
2003
never got
high
up from
tech
that chair.
technology. She didn't,
Mhm.
and I'm feeling really. I think that's bad workplace environment. She was just staring at those monitors, 2003,
Yeah.
and those pixels were amazing. Like, the
No,
fuck is this?
absolutely. Those are high definition screens, Kyle.
I
In
don't think this
2003.
movie knew what this movie knew what year it was. I genuinely don't think. Apart from one song, "Toxic," it is very hard to determine what year this is.
Yeah. And a radio presenter explaining how this is going to be a big hit. Is this going to be a big hit one day? This
Yeah,
toxic song.
yeah. And you're like,
Then
oh,
yeah,
oh well, one day, so it must not be after that. Oh my god,
yeah,
like what really
yeah.
annoys me is
Mhm.
why have it's kind of like this kind of what I'm kind of thinking about is Joker. What's the
Mhm.
point in having the Wayne stuff there? And this is the same with Madam Web. What's the point in having the Peter stuff there
Pure
if it
stuff there.
really
Yeah,
doesn't actually make any difference? There's
yeah,
no the only thing happens with Ben Parker being there is that they do little jabs like, oh, what, you've never been shot at in Queens?
yeah,
Or,
yeah. Oh, he's going to
I,
get shot and killed one day. What a
yeah,
weird.
all being an uncle is all the fun and none of the responsibility. And you're
Yeah.
like, shut the fuck up. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
like we're
I
not
know.
dumb. He's called Ben Parker. We know who he is. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, and then there's the great line, with all the responsibility comes the great power.
Yeah. It's utterly ri- eh, I don't even have words for it. It's bizarre, right? Because obviously going into this, there was a lot of memes and a lot of jokes about Madam Web going in. But honestly, if you want to know my verdict going into this, kind of not really expecting much, to be really honest, it was just boring for the most part. Like none of the characters really have any
Yeah.
agency. The dialogue's terrible. It's edited like crap. Like I'm saying, from an action point of view, they've given them nothing. Um, and
There's
well,
one
let's
good
actually get
joke.
I think there was two, but I can't remember
I
what
think
the
there
other
was
one
two.
was.
I remember the first
There was
one.
two good jokes.
There's one where it's like the baby shower, and it's like, "Oh, write something you really love about your mum." And Cassie doesn't write anything. Like, "Oh, why have you written
Yeah,
it?" Well, my mum died at childbirth, and she points to Emma. Emma
yeah, yeah,
Roberts is
yeah.
pregnant.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
that's quite funny.
But like, let's talk about Dakota Johnson as Madam Web because we're not actually gone into the central performances here. Um, the weird thing is, and I said this to Kel to you going out, is that Dakota Johnson clearly doesn't care on screen. Like I'm saying, there
No,
is no
no.
agency to her character, especially someone playing a paramedic. You'd think that would be quite essential to them as a person when they're approaching an emergency. Is some sort of agency and sense of like, oh, people are in
Yeah.
serious danger here. I need to take this seriously. There isn't really any of that. And I usually, when it comes to film, when someone doesn't care on screen, I then get annoyed and like, well, you're terrible.
Well,
Why would I care about this character? That because you don't care. But the way she plays it is so detached that I'm like, it's, it's not a good performance. It's not a good performance. But it's also one where it's like her not caring leads to some funny line delivery and
yes.
interactions because she really doesn't care that much. So I'm kind of like 50-50 here, where it's like,
What I don't like
uh,
about that, right, is that
uh,
that whole detached thing probably I think should have been started later into the film as she fully got her powers and
right,
she realized it's like I said to you, it's like Bran from Game of Thrones
yeah,
at the start being the Raven and being really
mm,
detached. There's
yeah,
no progression to that. There's no like young
uh,
sprightly boy moving into this
mm,
detached thing. Like if you had a Dakota Johnson who was really attached, really cared about the patients and everything,
uh,
and then by the end of the film she doesn't care, she's that detached. You see that
mm,
progression of the Madam Web character.
yeah,
This you don't.
okay.
I mean, 100% they filmed the last 5 minutes last because at that point she did not give a shit.
No, she
To
really did not in those
she,
last 5 minutes.
oh my god, those last 5 minutes she came in. I swear to God, pissed. Like she's in that little chair, absolutely steaming out her eye.
Yeah,
That's why they had the
yeah,
glasses. Like
yeah.
she was just sitting there going, "Oh, you have chicken? How do you know? Fucking smell it!" Like you walk in with takeout food. She's not. She can smell it as well. Like,
Also, presumably, they would have talked about what they were going to order as well.
yeah,
So it's like,
exactly.
it's like,
Is
what do
that
you want?
And so it's like, oh, you got. How did she know that? Like,
Mm,
she asked us what to get her, you idiot.
yeah,
Like, there's so much dumb like, so many dumb lines in this film,
yeah.
and I mean, like,
It's also funny
this.
that she did just get away with kidnapping at the end of the film as well. Like, no one follows up on the fact that she has these three children.
I
Um,
just love it. I love it. I there's some of it being real, and there's this whole society of weird spider people in Peru.
yeah. Uh, but that's with Dakota Johnson, like I don't know, some of her delivery like did genuinely make me giggle and have fun with it. It's not a
It's
boring performance, I guess. It's
no.
just one that just doesn't feel so like I don't care about anything that's going on. Even when I didn't have powers, I also didn't care that I was saving and helping lives. It's just a very very strange performance.
Like, if you
Um,
asked me, would you want Infinity War and Endgame remade, but to include Dakota Johnson's character, and if it have her be the exact same, I would say yes.
yeah,
Because I
that would
think
be amazing. That would be amazing having her version of that film.
just have her sitting there blind going, I don't care, lads. Like, she'd be going, let Thanos kill us. Honestly, I see the future. Shit.
Oh yeah, for I guess
I
for the
love this
superhero
film
films, those are
so
great.
much. Some for some reason at
Mhm.
times, like it's
You
it's the
had
reason you're just. Why did you make this? Why did you make it that way? Why are you clearly lying to your your casting
your
crew about
cast.
what you're making? I
Uh,
mean, they're probably signed. I mean, you're not signing on to
uh,
any movie script without having like a free, at least two free picture deal, right?
yeah.
There's not another one of these coming.
No, no, that's the thing. This is also this is what got me confused, right? Is that if Sony's willing to shell out $100 million for this Madam Web movie, and I don't know what the budgets of their Craven and Venom 3 or whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? If they are really truly dedicated to trying to be like, right, let's really expand our Spider Verse brand, whatever it is this universe is, right? Because the better films you put out, eventually, people get interested in your universe, and then you can maybe do bigger crossovers with other Spider-Man characters or whatever else. But I'm like, from the get-go, you honestly didn't care. I mean, obviously, you didn't care when you made Venom 1, you didn't care when you made Venom 2, you didn't care when you made Morbius. I know you don't care with Madam Web. I just don't understand at what point you're going to reap any rewards from just not caring whatsoever. Like, I do not understand what
That
the
is
end goal
a
is for all this
no.
stuff.
Yeah, you're right. The end game is
Mm.
really bizarre and kind of.
Uh,
I think so. From all the kind of reports and leaks to say that there's been like there's like an internal kind of argument over where Spider-Man 4 is going to lead.
yes, okay.
Kevin Feige and the MCU team want to keep it street
Mhm.
leveled. They want to go back
Yep.
to the roots, keep it in. Daredevil's in properly. Kingpin's really
Mhm.
back in the swing. They thought this would be a great time to do a really street level Spider-Man, which is
Mhm.
what most people want from Tom
Yes.
Holland's character because we have other Spider-Man to do all that crazy shit. But
Yes. You
Sony are
literally have an
like,
animated universe going the
yeah,
craziest we've ever seen with all that stuff. Yeah.
Sony Pictures, possibly, Avi Arad
Mhm.
and Amy Pascal, who I know don't really technically work with Sony, it's all a bit complicated, but they
Yes.
want Garfield and Toby right back in the film, and I'm like,
Oh, they want them in Spider-Man 4.
oh yeah, that's what
Okay.
they want. They want to keep it
Mhm.
kind of multiverse, and I'm like, listen, the great thing about Spider-Man as a character is
Mhm.
he can do the multiverse thing and he can do the street level thing.
Mhm.
We've had him do the multiverse thing. I don't want him to keep doing that because I don't think
No.
it's not in his character to
Mhm.
constantly be doing multiverse stuff. Your
No.
Doctor Strange, your kind of crazy Deadpools, that they kind of live and breathe that stuff. Spider Man's
Yeah.
great at just doing it occasionally, like your Batman's, right? See
Mhm.
when he's in the Justice League and he can do that slightly crazy, dimensional hopping thing. But would you
Yeah.
want to see that in the Bat Reeves films? No,
No.
no, exactly. That's it's a double edged sword with those characters that really can
Mhm.
do both.
Yeah.
But you're like, we've had a bit of that. We want a bit of the other. It's about
Mhm.
balance and that Thanos,
Yeah.
It's
No, absolutely, absolutely. That's what I mean. So it's
snap
like,
half the
what,
Sony crew
what,
away.
what is Sony? If they had some sort of, you know, plan here, and you put effort into these films, like you also, like, I mean, people have talked for ages, and even we've talked about this in the show about bringing back Andrew Garfield for his own films. I mean, and with after the success of No Way Home, it actually still boggles my mind. Sony of all studios didn't, be like, oh my god, thank God everyone loves Andrew Garfield again because now we can maybe do a different, Amazing Spider-Man type movie. And then with him being the center of your own Sony universe, and you have some, and you could do interesting things with because you've got so many Spider characters. You've got Spider Woman. You
Yeah,
could do a Venom film, sure, without Spider Man. You don't technically need to do it, although that does detract from him. But sure, do like an Agent Venom, something like that crazy, and then eventually you kind of put the pieces together, and then you have your own Spider-Man universe while also making money with the MCU. I just find it so baffling that because all this is really to keep the rights of all the Spider-Man
Yeah. Oh
characters,
yeah.
right? That's what this is really all about at the end of the day. But the way you keep rights and the way you keep a franchise going is with success and people wanting to see your films. That's the simplest way, I guess, if you want to keep
See,
these things, going. But for some reason, they want to avoid quality at all costs, except with their animated department, because they have what was it, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller,
yeah.
in charge of those things, and they're big names, so they can do what they want. But outside of that,
It's
it's just chaos. It's
it's
absolute chaos with all
hard.
their films.
See, the thing is, it's hard because I don't think I say Marvel don't care.
Mm,
They care because Spider Man's a big money maker. But
yes.
Marvel Studios still have most of the toy rights,
Yes.
right? So they don't care if they make shit films. And I mean, to be honest, I don't think I've seen any merchandise from Adam Webb because I think they'd be dumb to do that. But like, you know, if they bring out a Venom film, but they have Venom action figures and people love that,
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
they do Venom skins in Fortnite and people love that, they get a cut of that,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, we
Exactly.
can make a box office flop and
Mm-hmm.
tarnish our name a bit, but it's fine
Mm-hmm.
because it's so. You're right. I just don't know what they're doing, and I'm actually a bit like, right.
Yeah.
See the end of this year,
But yeah.
what's
Yeah.
happening because they're apparently pushing for a 2025 release for Spider-Man 4.
Right. It's not started filming.
I don't think there's a script because they're clearly
No, right. Well,
arguing over what they want to do.
what to do with it? Yeah.
So
I also Kel, but do you not find it? But this is what really, really baffles me, right? Because we live in a universe, Kyle. We live in a universe, right? Full stop. That's true. We do. But we live in a universe where
facts.
Sony chose to do two Venom films, a Morbius film, and a Madam Web film before doing like the simplest next thing to a Spider-Man and going Spider Woman with Sydney Sweeney. Like
Mm,
that is
And
a
Aunt
no-brainer.
May espionage film.
Spider Woman on a poster. Doesn't that just work? Doesn't that just roll off the tongue, Kyle? How
Did you
easy
see?
is that?
Did you
Uh huh.
see? Weirdly, the Silk Amazon TV show,
Mm,
right? That's happening over at Amazon SMG, whatever it's called.
mm,
There is apparently there's been a reshuffling around.
okay.
I can't. I can't find a tweet or anything. But it basically said they wanted to make it because it was like, oh, we're trying to redo it so it's aimed for the male audience. And there was people
Right.
commenting like, oh god, yeah, it'd be great to have a male centered spider character. Like
You know?
it's like those people going, God, where could I get one of those?
Mm,
Like, that's the like. I really do hate that they're like, oh, we want to make it more focused to our primed and like, no, like I don't want that. Like I don't care. I want to
mhm,
actually see a female Spider-Man. It's you getting the whole fucking point of Spider-Man is like anybody can wear the mask. Genuinely, they keep
yeah.
saying that in every film, and you're not letting anybody else apart from that white boy from Queens wearing the
Well,
mask.
we're gonna get Miles Morales on live action one day,
Yeah, well, no,
supposedly.
apparently, well, they said after two more films, which is beyond Spider Verse and Spider Man 4,
Mm,
um, which
you'll get
I
Miles.
can't
You'll get Miles.
wait to see, and I really hope nobody's a bit kind of fed up by that point of just
Mm, ah, no
not
one's
by the
gonna be fed up with
not
Spider-Man.
by not the character, but maybe
Mm,
fed up just about Sony producing shit because. I mean,
yeah.
thank God, Lewis. We would almost had that
El Muerto,
El.
yeah, it was meant to be this year,
That
yeah.
was supposed to come out in
Yeah.
January.
Well, don't worry, Kyle. We still got two others. We still got Venom 3 and Craven out this year. I thought everything will be okay.
Now, out of those two, I would rather see Craven, because Venom 3 is going to be Venom fighting another symbiote again
Yep.
after
Probably
the last.
Shriek or something, right?
It was either yeah, I think Shriek was it, or no, it was Shriek. It wasn't Scream. It was Shriek, and then Craven. I mean, we've had Bat Blood, we've had Spider Blood, and we now have Lion Blood.
Absolutely
It's
beautiful.
just it's the thought
Okay,
process
let's
in these
we've
films
we
are
kind of got off
mental.
tangent a bit just talking about Sony's a few.
Yeah.
I mean, it does bog my mind. But so back to Man Web. Anything you want to, any positive thing you want to say about it? Anything that you want to run down before you give your score here?
No.
No,
I mean,
there's not one compliment you can give the film. There's not anything else you want to analyze. She didn't know she
funny.
was sick, but I'm not
Oh,
sick. That was an
oh,
incredible
oh
line.
my god, that is the
Incredible line.
single greatest. That's a great like. That
I
is
don't
a
have a
great like.
neurological disease.
Oh, it's like, oh my god, hello, spoon feeding to your audience. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that reminds me of start of
yeah,
Avatar 2, where it's like this neural chip contains your memory. It's like that. So, oh yeah, there's a scene where she goes
yeah.
back in time. She sees her mother, and it's like, oh, you're, because the whole reason she gets the spider bite thing is for Cassie. It's like, oh, your child has a muscle deformity. Oh, I don't have a muscle deformity. I mean, Dakota Johnson, give her the Oscar there, because
Her delivery is excellent in that scene. To be
I mean,
fair, her delivery.
apart from
No,
the film being the
uh,
funniest thing I've seen for all the wrong reasons, there's
uh,
nothing good. There's nothing good.
yeah.
The ADR is something I will
Mm.
remember till the rest of my days. Honestly, I can't.
I mean, look. I mean, you also had that fantastic 2 minute CPR scene where she decides to teach the kids how to do CPR,
That
which
came
is
back into
genuinely
play
just
later. See,
it
listen,
did,
that
which was
no.
yeah.
So that's called
Oh, you're right.
foreshadowing in cinema. Now, I
Yes,
know you're
yes,
not
yes.
entirely on top of that form. Now, they could have done it slightly more discreet rather than doing a
Yeah,
whole thing. Also, all of them were horrific at doing CPR.
yeah. And they
Like,
also decide to go,
genuinely.
right, do you want to have a turn? Do you want to have a turn? We don't need to see all three of these people have a turn on doing CPR on this doll,
And then,
please.
and it's like, once you get tired, you pass it on. And they do like 4 bits. Like, right, I'm tired. I'm like, you guys would be shit in real
That person's dead. There's no way that's gonna be kept alive. I'm tired. I want to move
life.
on.
I'm tired,
Ah,
Grandpa.
yeah.
And it's Cassie going, ah, it's too damn bad. 10 out of 10.
Oh my
There's that random
god.
scene. I want a spin-off film,
Uh,
right? Where there she goes away to Peru for a week, and then
uh,
that week the three girls stay with Ben and Mary
yeah,
Parker. I
yeah.
just want a film of that, like shenanigans of having
What
in
were
that
they were
house
up
for
to?
a
Yeah,
week.
it probably would have even
Yeah.
been a funnier film than this. It would have been a genuinely good comedy, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt.
What?
Well, I take it. What are you giving it, Kyle? What are you giving it? I
It's
can't
a
imagine.
one. I don't. I
It's a
can't.
one.
There's nothing good about this film. I really don't understand how this was made. The fact that Dakota Johnson hasn't seen this film brings
Mm.
me joy.
Oh, it's
Because
great. It's
she
great.
made the film, but she's living life better than me because she hasn't seen it.
That's true. She didn't waste her time. She didn't waste her time.
No.
This is the thing with Madam Web, right? Because I was thinking about this, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, it's so easy to give a film like this just a 1 out of 10, right? Because I was like, okay, break it. I'm gonna break it down. Like, I break down acting department. The acting's not great. I break it down to like an action point of view. The action's awful. It's not really an action film, really. Um, Even just the pace of it is just sluggish. It just feels like it just meanders for an hour and 40 or 50 minutes. Like it doesn't feel like there's a even though okay the plot is this guy's trying to murder three women. Okay, I've seen plenty of films with a less intense plot than
Yeah.
that, but for some reason there's no intensity to any of the story because it feels like no one cares. It feels like there's no agency to anything that's going on, and it just kind of plods along, and then it just sort of ends uh, with one of the
It really,
worst third.
it
It
really
just
does.
just ends with one of the worst action scenes on top of this firework factory with a Pepsi sign. It's just, but there's nothing like I'm saying with Man and Web, with all the future stuff, you can really do bonkers things with stuff like that. Somebody could see the multiverse in the future and different
Oh
things
no,
going on.
she
It could
there
be
was two.
exciting.
I
Mhm.
mean, you say that, but there was a big plot twist about how when she first had
Uh,
her vision in the future, she saw a giant S. During the final battle, she kept looking to this
yes,
giant S.
yeah,
Multiple times she kept looking to that
yes,
S,
yes.
and then the P kills him.
Uh
I don't
huh.
understand. I don't
Well, it's
understand
because
what
the
was
S.
happening.
What? Remember, because when she's in the water, the S sinks with her in the water, just like it did when she fell with the car and early in the film.
No, she kept looking at the. What was she looking at the S for? She's thinking, well, that's gonna fall with me, so I best be near that. Like, mental. What were you giving this
Yeah,
thing?
I mean, I'm like, and just like, there's just so many better choices to do. If you want to do a Spider-Man spin-off thing, because you don't obviously can't, you could just do Spider Woman. I don't understand why that wasn't your first option. It's just boggles my mind that that wasn't your first thing, or doing like a Miles Morales thing. I know you obviously doing with the animated
And
stuff,
don't
but
and
it's just
also
weird.
don't be
Uh,
scared to have it in the same universe. Nobody's gonna
mm,
give a shit. Like,
yeah,
the whole idea about having these characters is for them to be in that shared world,
yeah,
bouncing off everybody. And this is what I really hate.
uh,
And I mean, I kind of, you know, it's a bit
mm,
shit if you're doing it with like Joker, but say like the Penguin TV show. That's great
mm,
because he's in that world. We know he interacts with other characters. We can enjoy
yeah,
this character. Oh,
mm,
Venom, one of
mm,
Spider-Man's greatest Venom. He's seen a fucking TV promo of him, and that's it.
yeah. Yeah.
Don't be scared. Fucking no. The
Yeah.
average viewer doesn't care how they interact in this universe and everything. Just
Mhm.
do it. Like, stop being a
I just
bitch,
I
Sony.
find it bizarre, right? Because see of the three characters they've made films of, right? Venom, Morbius, Man Web.
Craven.
Venom
Oh,
actually
always
has the
Craven.
least interesting powers to put like, to build a story around or have
Because
like
he's a
something
clone
interesting happen.
ish of
Yeah,
Spider Man.
it's
You
like
know.
gooey and strong, right? But you've got like a Morbius is a vampire. Vampires are cool, and you got someone who's has abilities to see the future, and yet somehow this is like the worst one. And there was just I know that I really want to be I really want to understand the making of this film. I hope they make a documentary of it one day. I want to know what's going behind the screen, behind the scenes of all these Sony verse films, because what is happening? They're all disasters. Like I just it boggles my mind. I will say it's lit well and shot on location. It's pretty good. It's better than
Apart
a
from
lot
that
of
time
other.
they reuse footage from Spider Man 2.
Yep, seen that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
that's
But
brilliant.
I mean, I'm just like, yeah, it's good to see New York.
Effort.
It's in 2003. That's cool. And it's lit well enough. Looks like a movie. But yeah, 1 out of 10. It's boring as
Smashing.
hell. It's a disaster of a piece of filmmaking. It has no really message, and it's just plods along until it ends. Yeah, it's pretty dull. Anyway, so that was Madam Web. I would not recommend seeing it.
No, don't.
We're still on a pretty bad superhero streak, Kyle. I think you and me. I mean, well, you actually like you saw the Marvels and you enjoyed that, I suppose. But
I mean, the
for
Marvels
me,
compared to this is best picture material.
well, I mean, for me, I mean, what
Well,
has
the
it
last one
been?
you seen would have been Blue Beetle. You enjoyed that.
No, no, no. The last one I saw was Aquaman, Kyle. I
You
enjoyed Blue
enjoyed
Beetle.
that.
Blue Beetle actually
Ah,
had some heart to it.
you
You know,
loved Aquaman. You loved the wee villain
I
cave
oh,
and the wee suits.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I liked
And
5 minutes of
and that
Aquaman.
one TikTok that Patrick Wilson made.
I mean, oh,
Yeah,
we do love that. I have
that's
that video.
it.
I actually got that video, downloaded on disc, so I could watch it on Blu-ray at a high def on my screen whenever I want to. So, you know.
You've literally just given me your birthday idea, so I'm gonna get you 4K
Whoa.
and just and switch the disc out, put the pole painting on, and you think it's gonna be like Casablanca, and you put it in, and
Yeah.
it's just like going like that for 10 minutes straight.
It's just a TikTok dance of uh what's it
Patrick
name?
Wilson.
What's his name? Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa. Oh, it's
Nah,
fantastic. I love it.
I'll edit
Anyway,
out the Jason Momoa stuff. That's shite.
I will round off with a review of The Taste of Things. So, The Taste of Things was directed by An Hong Tran. It's a Vietnamese director and written by Marcel Ruff and as well as An Hong Tran as well. And it stars Juliette Binoche and Benoit Magimel. Sorry if I got your name wrong. I apologize. Anyway, so the film kind of opens as Eugenie, played by Juliette Binoche, is picking vegetables early in the morning. She plays this cook for this man, what was it, Dodden, who's Dodden Buffon, who owns this big manor in I think it's 19th century France, right? And so she's out there picking vegetables really at dawn, and she's about to prepare for this 5 course meal for Dodden and his friends. Um, and so the whole kind of actually first 15 minutes, 20 minutes is just watching Eugenie and Dodden as well, and as well as some of the extra servants cook this 5 course
Right.
meal. Um, it's like it's really beautiful. This really expansive rustic kitchen. It looks absolutely gorgeous to cook in something like that. Just massive hobs and stoves and ovens and just like huge pots and pans, and then just watching them cook, just some of the sound on the sound design in this, by the way, fantastic. Just hearing that sizzle go and just watching them cook these fanciful meals and like putting 100 ingredients. I'm like someone there's this character, this little girl in it. I think it's Pauline is her name or something like that, or I think yes, Pauline. It's Pauline. Who's there? Like her aunt works in the manor, and she's there looking after her. And so he then Dodden gets her to taste this sauce, and like she lists off like 100 ingredients that was in the sauce. And it's like Jesus Christ, if I tried to make that sauce, that'd be one expensive sauce. The amount of stuff that's in there, Jesus. But yeah, it's like that whole Pauline character is like 8 years old, 9 years old. Is like got this brain of like a gourmet,
Yeah.
like double, triple her age. Someone who's really experienced. Like she has this amazing palate. But with that, what the whole film kind of is, it's also a romance between Dodden and Eugenie. because she's been working for him for over 20 years, and within those 20 years he has fallen in love with her. But even though he's asked to marry her multiple times, she's always saying nah. Which is quite funny. But eventually the whole film comes about, the two of them
Yeah.
coming together, and it's sort of like experience of love through something else, and in this case it's food, and how Dodden has kind of become obsessed with food over the period of time that she's worked there. So yeah, The Taste of Things, I thought it was a really tender, lovely film. Look, it'll make your mouth water. Some of the stuff they make here is just absolutely beautiful. It's a very calm film as well. It's really nice
Yeah.
and just peaceful. You're just watching people bond over the activity of cooking, and it feels very natural and loving. And it also becomes a film about expression as well. It's like what food means to Doran and Eugenie is like it's really all they kind of talk about throughout the whole film, and just what the way they use it to express feeling, and the way they sort of how they use food to kind of undercover things about each other, and you know how someone through food as well, like what they like, and what you can do to sort of try and make there's more to food than just like simple, just like that tastes good and all this, it's essential to every day, because obviously you need to eat every day, and it's sort of just like going further with that, and it's like how food can be this really expressive art form, and more than just something that's just sustenance. There's a character in the film says it, something like this about drinking, but he says in the film, he goes, "Oh, humans are the only animals that like choose to drink when we don't need to. We've created all these different beverages and all
Yeah.
these different things to drink, and we get pleasure out of these things, and we're the only animals who don't drink, more than just water." I was like, that's quite interesting. We're the only animals who go above and beyond when it comes to something as simple as sustenance. Because it's like all about sort of gaining pleasure and sort of uncovering new things with food. And they say, "Oh, like we get someone." I think Don's character is like, "Oh, how amazing, how wonderful it'll be to be someone who actually manages to create a new dish. It's something so rare and so hard to find, and it becomes an artwork in itself, be able to do stuff like that." And it is very romantic. It's a really romantic film as well. I really, like, from the get go, from very early on, like you can see the chemistry between Dodden and Eugenie. Like it feels very natural. You can tell there's history between them, and you can tell like he's truly fallen in love with food and learned how to become an amazing chef in himself through his love for her. Um, I just found it really sweet and really, really tender, and I'm going to give The Taste of Things an 8 out of 10.
Oh,
So
that's a nice
I guess
switch.
that will wrap up. I know it was a nice switch, something I can actually talk about in a film that actually has some sort of meaning behind it.
Oh,
And just something that I didn't, it wasn't like a sensory overload, it was something
yeah.
a bit calmer. Um, but anyway, yes, that will, I guess, wrap up today's show. So, Kyle, thank you. Actually, I'm not going to thank you for bringing
No,
this,
don't.
making me go see that. But I guess, Madam Webby. On next week's show, because Dune Part 2 is releasing next Friday, we're going to be talking about Denis Villeneuve. So we're going to be talking about our favourite films that he's made. It's going to be a full special on the man himself and everything that we love about him. Because Dune 2, Kyle, I can't wait. I cannot
Oh,
wait
I
for
know.
Dune 2. I booked my tickets today.
I
Um,
need to book mine soon.
have you booked yours yet?
No, not
Have you
yet.
booked yours?
No, I will do.
Oh, Kyle, we better get going. Those good IMAX seats are going to be gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we got good ones from Adam Web.
We sure did. We sure got good ones from Adam Webb. I can't believe we saw that in IMAX. But yeah, that'll wrap up today's show. So we just give our opinion on the Madam Web, on Madam Web and The Taste of Things. But at the end of the day, those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.